Alright, so I realized in that last video, a part of it got cut off, and I wanted to say, just in relationship um, to those videos I was showing of the installation space, um, that this is the physical um, interpretation. Um, these are the physical interpretation of this sort of uh, perspective shift that I'm sort of exploring through this mimetic engulfment, or this style of space, this style of installation space that is surrounding this mimetic engulfment kind of concept. And moving forward, or sort of focusing in on the video itself is in a style that is experimental, and so meshing the two in a space is allowing us an opportunity. Well, the hope is that it's allowing an opportunity for us to challenge how it is that we view stories, and to challenge how it is that we view linear storytelling as well, and nonlinear storytelling. And so everything about my journey is very nonlinear, because I'm moving between these spaces of present, future, and past. Excuse me. And as I explore the land, as I walk through the land, as I walk through the ground, as I walk through the ocean, here on the ground, I'm going to turn this all the way down because, again, the volume was really loud. As I walk through the ground, in the ocean, where the objects are, that's where I will explore that physicality. And as I get to that physicality,
It's 4:30.
As I explore that physicality, I then get to a place where I can experience the work itself. I can experience the story itself. And one of the things I said was, before this class came in, before these my peers came in to do this critique, like, it wasn't my intention for them to sit down, but they sort of just naturally sat down. And I had these big speakers, and these speakers are like speakers that you have at concerts, but they were big, and they were like sitting down on the floor, and so they were creating this sort of vibration with the beat, with the drum, through that subwoofer that was inside of the speaker. And what they told me after is that they felt compelled to sit and just be in this space, and I thought that was interesting, and I wanted to make a note of that. And so as I made the note of it, I wanted to make sure that I show that visually as well. And so this is them experiencing the space. Yeah, some people got really emotional, and some people just went to, just different places as they were exploring the space, visually and like in their feelings, So yeah, I just want to make sure I mention that. I'll turn the volume up real quick. Okay, so that's that. Now moving on to the actual video itself. So right now, this is November. What is this? November. So this is November, October, November, the time frame in which I'm making this. Clearly this says November up here. But these images, these videos were all created this summer. So through May, June, July, and August, I was just making videos. I was doing what I felt led to, and I was doing interviews, listening to stories, and really just getting a sense of what the stories were. And so this is how I ended up being here at this place where I was just like, oh no, there is no consistency in these stories, and there's no consistency in these stories because at the very basis of how we interpret stories and how we tell our stories, there's always a sort of a collapse between fiction and facts. And in that fiction and facts is where I'm finding myself sort of analyzing this story and sort of getting to the realization of I was doing this during the summer. I was also doing this Black arts movement recounting other stories. And one of the things I was curious about was like, why isn't this in history books? Why aren't we talking about this in art school? Of all places, art school, right? We talk about how like there were entire movements saying like jazz was like banned from places, but like jazz is not even in our history books. And one of the things I found out was like a lot of these stories are still oral, and because they're still oral, there's a distance between what is quote unquote considered facts because of what is written down and what is considered myth or legend. And so being able to or having to finesse that liminal space again, that liminal space is coming up again, to me meant that of course our stories are like oral. Of course, like the way we've been able to hold on to our stories is through music, right? And the way we've been able to hold on to our stories is by telling each other, you know, one thing to another, from lineage to lineage to lineage. And with those stories, there comes some truth, and with those stories comes some legend, and through those legends come some lessons as well. And so I'm sort of working through all of that. And as I continue to create this film, I'm just trying to figure out what that looks like for me as I work through the audio and as I work through the actual visuals itself. So without further ado, let me just get to you with this. So I'm just gonna do an entire
Bible. You know what that is?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's because it's in the Bible. Because big thing now, or the plane over it. Call your name? Where you call it for?
Aloe vera. I use it for the hair. I eat it.
This?
Mm-hmm.
Legal life.
Hold on. Leaf of life. I'm glad you got some aloe vera. It's really good for my locks. You want me to eat it? So I'm supposed to eat it. You don't want me to eat it?
Eat this.
Eat this. Okay, take this one back.
This is the Roman.
I gotta eat this? I don't know what this is.
Smell it.
Does that smell like anything? Still don't know. Oh, it does. It smells so good. Yo, it doesn't smell like anything before though. You said, if I tell you something, do it, huh? What's this? I rub it, rub. Yup, I knew this one. Okay, so now I gotta eat this. How do I pick it?
No. I'm saying get this.
This one meat.
Green on
Yeah. Which one? This one? Like this one? And then how do I pluck it? This one. What was that called?
It's 6 o'clock.
It's like green apples.
Yeah, so
Let me see. Where they at? So, yeah, it's a lot of information there. It's a lot of information there. I think one of the things I settled on, especially after that interview, is the close proximity of um, of our cultures across the diaspora. Um, my father, I call him Pops. He came to the States from the Middle Passage area, from Jamaica, from Kingston, Jamaica, and when I visited him this summer, because it was important for me to check up on my elders. It sort of brought us into this kind of storytelling kind of sphere the entire summer. He's just sort of mentioned the importance of just keeping the traditions going. I think I wrote a quote. The keepers of our stories, right? And so as he was sort of kind of ushering me along his journey and how he became, how he transitioned into Rastafari. He also called up some of his childhood friends, some of his best friends, his sisters, his nieces, nephews, a lot of people who are older. And mind you, I am the youngest child, and the youngest child by like maybe 20 years from every other sibling. So that's a thing. But that my interest had been one that
It's
they hadn't been able
4:45.
to explore for themselves and hadn't been able to explore for a group of years. But that one of the things that pandemic taught us is the importance of preserving our histories, preserving our stories. And so in talking to all of those folks and coming to all of these stories and collecting these stories, what became clear, and this is probably why I'm here at this point of my editing process, what became clear to me is the nonlinearness of our movements and the linearness of our cultural exchange as well, right? And so a lot of the practices that he's talking about that Rastafarians do, right, that he was talking about this summer, are practices that folks do here in the States. Black folks do here in the States, and there's also practices that folks do in Brazil, in Central America. And so to see this ecosystem of thought, this ecosystem of cultural practice, it allowed me the space to really see that that connection between, again, the past, present, and future, which is why those themes become really, really like staples for me to always go back to. And I know I haven't introduced this sort of term, but the term is Sankofa. And Sankofa is sort of that principle of going back in order to move forward. And that's an African principle. So as we are connected to each other throughout the diaspora, so are we connected to Africa. And that's one of the things he was just talking about, was that essentially we all are Rastafarian. We all are all African people are Rastafarian because of Rastafarians grounding and founding principles of going back to this cultural root. So I named this project, I came to a name. I thought this name made sense to me. The name that I like and the name that I want to state with is Ancestors. I and I have not forgotten you. I and I have not forgotten. ancestors. And so I leave you with that. How exciting! I leave you with that, and I say, man, we got a long way to go, and I know that this is just the beginning of, my journey. And we'll see how far this documentary goes, this experimental documentary goes, and see what it transitions into. So we'll keep you posted. It is, again, November, and I'm sort of putting this together. Just a documentation of where I am right now in the process. So until next time, peace, love, and fight. Cause listen, even them angels wielded them swords. We gotta be ready to protect our peace. It's kind of interesting but I like that. It's what I'm sticking with right now. I'm definitely protecting something. I'm protecting a lot of things.